All right, let's talk a little bit about the timetable of events. A lot of people believe that the economic depression is going to even hit before the end of this year. I don't see that. I don't see that for many reasons. One is they don't want it to happen yet. It's been defined that in 2010 is when they're supposed to implement the North American Union. By the end of 2010, the North American Union and the Amero are supposed to be fully implemented. So that means most likely the depression is going to occur next year. Because remember, they're waiting for the depression to implement that. That's their Hail Mary pass. Now, when the shoppers don't go shopping this year, and I'm sure you've already heard that the predictions for Christmas shopping this year are pretty grim. When the numbers come out in spring and starting in January, you're going to see a gradual collapse in financial markets. This has got nothing to do with panic. In 1929 it was panic. Sure, it'll be a stock market panic this time. When everybody else wakes up to the realization of what's really coming, they're going to panic. But remember, this is being controlled. They know very well what they're doing. And the people at the top level of this economic food chain are already taking precautions, moving their money. In the spring of 2010, the depression starts. By July, it's in full force. Okay, about that same time, it's likely that the, whatever you want to call it, World War III, the next global military action, and it may be done deliberately to send the U.S. economy into collapse. There are countries who have talked about it. They said, we're going to cause oil to rise to 3 or 4 times what it costs today. And that alone can send our economies into depression. Most people think that's only gas and oil, but that means all plastic raises in price. All products raise in price even if they don't use petroleum, because they all have to be shipped. I read that they're going to change the standard for oil off of the dollar. It weakens the dollar, certainly, but the dollar is already weakening because of everything else that the government's doing or not doing. The cause of oil going up won't be because they're changing the standard. It'll be because of the escalation of violence in the Middle East, and they're going to shut down the Persian Gulf so that no oil can be shipped out of the Persian Gulf. The governments already have a plan, and this is why Chavez in Venezuela is paranoid. We get 1/3 of our oil imports from Venezuela right now. The government has already planned to invade Venezuela when this happens and take over the entire country so they can ship out as much oil as they want, because they're not going to get it from the Persian Gulf. And they're using Colombia as the staging ground. The U.S. military is moving their people into Colombia right now, and Colombia is escalating hostility with Venezuela. They're playing out a game that most people aren't even aware of. I mean, but all this is in the news. But there's too much information. People can't keep up with all the information anymore, so you got to filter it. So how do you filter it? Everybody has their different ways. Some people ignore it. Some people only watch what's on TV because it's convenient. But if you actually look at the articles being written, you don't even have to read the articles in most cases. You just look at the headline, and you can tell what they're doing. It's all very out in the open. It's just that very few people are paying attention. Very few people want to believe this is possible, much less want to believe that it's actually going to happen. This is already planned. So in the fall of 2010, after the Depression, or at the time of the Depression, they're going to be implementing the North American Union and the Amero. And it's going to calm things down. Remember, there's only 2 agendas that any government has. That is, one is to maintain stability, and one is to maintain their legacy. In other words, they get the lifetime of unemployment pay equal to the pay they got when they were in office. They get the lifetime medical benefits that nobody else gets in the world. They may have gone in with a more idealistic, grandiose opinion and thinking that they're going to be able to change the world. I mean, that's not uncommon. But the delusion doesn't last long when the reality sits in. And that the desire to fix problems is not part of the government. To maintain the lies and the delusion is. So in 2011, we're going to see more, of course, the famine is going to be full-blown worldwide. We're going to see more chaos. We're going to see more violence. And that's where we're going to see martial law starting to slip. Late 2010 and into 2011. Somewhere in 2011, we're going to have global martial law. Because imagine, we're going to have 50% of the world in famine. 50% of the world is going to be starving today. These are not mythical ideas, much like the 2012 stuff. 2012 is filled with mysticism and uncertainty. Like I said, forget about 2012. If you're not ready for 2012,